pool fans, and hope you are locked in and ready for some world-class pool.
And it's in. What a performance.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have witnessed some absolute thrilling matches so far.
And in it goes. He is your champion. Celebration, so Victor Zelensky.
Finest players in the world.
Oh, he makes it. Nicely on the 10.
Jasmine Ocean.
And a very warm welcome, viewers and pool fans, to the Predator Pro Billiard Series and the picturesque Hotel Alpina Alpendorf in the Austrian Alps. We've got 3 big events on the schedule, and you join us for the opening matches on day 2. And we kick off with the Billiards Carrinho Women's Open, and a fantastic prospect for this first round encounter. The rising star Xin Yu Hong from Chinese Taipei taking on the experienced veteran Katarzyna Wesolowska from Poland. And this is a 10-ball best of 3 sets matchup. Each set's a race to 4. It's winner breaks. There are no early 10s, and the shot clock is in play. And flying solo on the comms, it is I, Gethin Davis. And as our referee just gets them racked up, we do have a similar situation over on table 1 kicking off at the same time. The very experienced Iwan Hubler from Germany is taking on the young gun Linnea Halmerstrom from Sweden. And we have a third match being streamed for you as well on Pro Billiard TV. Over on table 3, Nina Torvund taking on Yuki Hiraguchi. Now, Xin Yu has won the lag and will get us kicked off. And this promising young talent, well, she has World Junior medals under her belt, and she's really looking to put her mark on the senior circuit right now. Good power in the break. The 1 ball has locked against the 4, and it is a dry break, which will bring Katarzyna to the table with really not much look at the 1. It may pass the 5 into the corner pocket, but the cueing is not very nice for her here, for her opening shot. Was looking to bring the 9 into play, but has called a foul on herself. Looked like she just made a little contact with the 4 in a cue. I'm sure the referee picked up on it, but good sportsmanship straight away. Gave the cue ball back to Xin Yu. And a good opportunity, as from a break, she got a good spread on the balls. Threading from this blue 2 down to the red 3 is going to be interesting. And as you see from this camera angle, the 4 does pass the 7, so she has options for the 4. This position shot here really could open up this rack for her. And she slotted that very nicely, just rubbing the 9. Left herself a nice angle to come, or rather float up towards center table. Both girls, I noticed when I was preparing for the match, had good time on the table just to get used to the conditions. It is starting to warm up outside there, but the venue looks to be holding its temperature very nicely. The table's playing fantastic. We have the Predator Arcos 2 balls on the Predator Arc table. And she's played that very nicely to come up for the 5. Shouldn't need to bring the 8 in the way to hold shape for the 6. Just needs to be a bit particular here. But landing straight on that 6 will lend herself to not have to do too much with the cue ball for the 7. She didn't want to bring that 8 into play. She has, but that's worked out very nicely for her. So really good opening signs for the Chinese Thai player, straight out the blocks. And we've seen quite a lot of this young lady on the Predator World Junior circuit. She does have a very nice composure and a good tempo around the table. Doesn't seem to be phased whether she's coming out to a deficit or a good lead in the scoreline. She's rock solid, and that's proved her so well so far. And I really do think this young lady is going to do very, very well in her senior career. And this 10 ball, to get off the mark first in this match, and gets a point on the board in this race to 4 set. It will be winner breaks, so we will yet get to see Katarzyna's break. We'll have to wait a little bit longer for that. And in summary, Katarzyna really wasn't left with much following Xin Yu's break. And unfortunately, in giving away ball in hand, gave Xin Yu the best opportunity, and she's taken it with both hands. Now, it was a dry break last. It'll be interesting to see if she persists with the same break. We did see in the men's open yesterday, some players were struggling and were having to just switch around a little bit to find the sweet spot. And breaking from the side again. And yeah, trying to cut the 1 into the side pocket. It seemed to go on its way, but was just knocked out off its journey. And again, that brings Katarzyna back to the table, but on this occasion, she has a much better look at the 1 ball. Having a quick glance around the table, the 5 is hampered by the 9, which I think she was just having a look of consideration there. But if she can deal with the 5, this is not a bad opportunity, and both these ladies' style tends to be on the offense. Played that nicely, just come the right side, low side for the 2. And Katarzyna, well, we've been seeing a lot of her lately. Very experienced, but more importantly, she's making the latter stages of most of the tournaments she enters. This year so far, we've got to see her get 2nd place in the World Teams event in Las Vegas, where she teamed up with Daniel Maciel and Wojciech Szewczak. They had a wonderful run in that tournament, just being bested by the Philippines in the final, and she also picked up a 5th place the Predator Luxembourg Open also this year. So Veselowska will have come here to play. She'll have recognised when she saw the matchup this was going to be a tough encounter. I'm sure Xin Yu likewise. So it'd be interesting to see if either of them takes the match by the scruff of the neck. early on, such as with shots like that. I'm not too sure if that's paid off for Katarzyna. It's a thin cut into the side pocket. She may feel there's value in taking this on. The cue ball could contact, or should contact, the 6 and be beneficial. Yeah, these side pockets on the Predator Arc table, you need to be very precise. And this will bring Xinyu to the table. Would like to get the cue ball off the long rail after making this 5. Does not really want to be straight on the 6. She's done that to great effect. Oh, and she's played that very nicely to stay high on the 7. Very much looking in good shape here. And this is really what she wants to do as and when her opponent makes a mistake. She's just left herself a little bit more to do on this 8 ball. I do believe she was wanting to finish a bit straighter on it. She does have the option of corner or side pocket, but just needs to travel the cue ball a little bit more if she takes the side pocket on. How is her cue ball? Her cue ball is great. And really continuing on from her first rack. Looking very settled amongst the balls. And Xinyu Hong of Chinese Taipei continues on form and takes a 2-0 lead and will retain the break, keeping Katarzyna in her chair. And that's not a bad ploy at all, because Katarzyna can also run for fun once she's settled. And just to bring you up to speed with this Belarus Carrinho Women's Open, it's 64 players have entered into this with a prize pot of $90,000, and first prize will be picking up $27,000. So a real good bounty for these players to fight for. And let me tell you, it's brought the best of the best in the women's division over to the Austrian Alps here. What I will do is I'll bring you some updates on the other matches. There's 9 matches in play in this opening round. We'll move into the winners round 1 following. So looking for success from the break. Will she get it on this occasion? Doesn't appear so. Looks like from the overhead. Katarzyna's hampered though for a look on the 1 as opposed to in the last rack. So if you can only see the right hand edge, she's going to turn that down because the scratch will be lurking. Now what she does do is she has the option of a push. I think she just called a push. This will allow her to play the cue ball to wherever she'd like on the table. And then Xinyu will have the choice. Do I take this on or do I return it to Katarzyna? depending on how far that one ball is off the rail, the cut may be on, but it would be fraught with danger. And that's what's returned Xinyu to a chair. Now, Katarzyna may have had something in the back of her mind. There is a potential bank on as well, but I'm just imagining she'd want to run the cue ball into the 5 to freeze the cue ball up and get distance between that and the 1. Well, I'm not sure if she went for the pot there or the thin edge. But it hasn't worked out. It's left the 1 on with a thin cut, but as you can see, that 3 ball now is in a real tough spot next to the 5 ball. Ooh, she's just overcut that. And the 1 ball's hung in the jaws. However, it still puts Katarzyna now in a position where she's got to consider her options for the 3 ball. 3-5 combination may be on. Ooh, where's that cue ball going? Oof. Well, that was threatening the side pocket. Just caught the knuckle in time, and she may be able to squeeze a little angle here from the blue 2 to come up table. Looks like she's got a little to squeeze with. Oh, she's played that well to avoid the 9. And yes, indeed, she will take this combination on. She needs to be careful where the 3 is going to end up and the cue ball, because she will have to take the 3 on after. But first, make sure of the combination. Yeah, that was my concern. Always going to be difficult to hold position for this 3. It's a cut along the short rail if she elects to take this on. The 4 ball has the bottom left pocket available, but position for that needs to be on a 6pence. So let's see if Veselowska's on the offense. She was. And was looking to make something happen down here for the 4. That hasn't worked out, unfortunately. Now, how's that 4 dressed up against the 9? Looks like from this camera angle, it's locked. Well, Xinyu's body language seemed to suggest she didn't really need much of a look at it, so it may certainly pass into that bottom right pocket, but first it's the 3 and to get position on that 4. What a positional shot. That has worked out fantastically for Xinyu. She's got to put a bit of a shot in here to get up for the 6, but great control of the cue ball. I think she put as much venom in that as she dared. Just wasn't enough. Now she has the option of playing safe here off the left side of the 6. She can just take a little edge of it and bring the cue ball back up. Maybe look for the 10-8 for cover. How's the line? I think it's going to run into the 10. It has done. So she's not got cover. And this now flips the opportunity to Katarzyna here. She can, well, she could look to play a safety, but she's called the bottom left on the bank shot. Wasn't far away, but that 6 is travelling back up the table. Oh, and it's dressing up over that corner pocket for Xin Yu here, and as we've seen so far in this match already, we're only in the 3rd rack, but Xin Yu has been pouncing on all of Katarzyna's mistakes. And 4 balls remaining here to, in what you have to say is quick fashion, get on the hill in this opening set. Ooh. I'm not sure if that's because she was stretching. Just seemed to give up a little bit on that shot. And that's resulted in the cue ball not coming over far enough for a comfortable look at this 8. With the extension on the cue, she may be taking this on. She did. High level of difficulty. And now, this is a great opportunity for Katarzyna just to steal this one, probably against the run of play. And in these races to 4, it can be moments like this that can just swing the momentum enough, especially in the winner breaks format. So just wants to make sure of these 2, get her first on the board, and just maybe ask another question of Xin Yu. Oh, Katarzyna. I understand what she did and why she did it, but not the result. Was just in an awkward spot to get the cue ball back for the 10. Felt that she needed to put a bit of a shot in it and bring the cue ball back off the short rail. But in putting that much premise on the cue ball, the 9 refused to drop. Oh, and I didn't think that shot was on for Xin Yu there. She's had to cheat the pocket to hold the cue ball and prevent the scratch. She's done that remarkably well. That's a highlight shot for me. And this 10 put Xin Yu on the hill in quick fashion in this opening set. And if you want to keep an eye on the scores as they're coming in thick and fast, please do visit ProBilliardSeries.com. And while you're there, have a look at a link to the statistics. Our statman Michael Salmon bringing the stats for both Table 1 and Table 2. And as you can see there, Xin Yu sitting very nicely with a player overall performance of 815. Katarzyna yet to get a break. And, well, you can see she's had 4 missed shots, Katarzyna, and 1 foul, and that's allowed Xin Yu to pounce. So wonderful stuff so far for the Chinese Taipei player. Great early signs, and just a little warning to Katarzyna. I'm sure she won't be daunted with the prospect, but without having to get to the table to get a break, it's going to be very difficult for her to get back into this opening set. Little update from our other TV Table 1. The young Linnea Halmarstrom has taken a 2-1 lead in the opening set against Yvonne Ullmann-Hubler. And I'll bring you some more updates as they're coming in. There's some big matches out there already. So Xin Yu, so far 3 for 3, looking to close out this set in real early fashion, comfortable fashion you'd have to say. And yet again, still not making a ball on the break. Maybe just a little short of power, but good contact, good spread. On this occasion, Katarzyna has a look at the one, and she really does need to start making moves in this opening set if she wants to be in with a chance of taking this off of Xinyu. And that will not do it, I'm afraid. Needed to play that delicately to hold for the two. Xinyu just having a survey of the table. Would ideally like to finish straight on this two for the side pocket so she can freeze the cue ball to guarantee shape on the three. The 9 is hampering it ever so slightly. How's her cue ball control here? Wonderful. May have liked to roll further up the table, but she'll take this. Just needs to drop this in gently and not run behind the 9. Oh, she decided to play into the 7. That will also work nicely. As you can see from the overhead, the real shot left of concern will be 4 to the 5, mainly due to where the 8 ball is. But this is looking very promising for Xinyu here. Ooh. Haven't seen many misses from Xinyu. That one, similar to Katarzyna's in the last rack, was really down to just delivering more power into the shot. She felt she needed to bring the cue ball back up high to avoid the 8 coming into play. And what's Katarzyna been left with here? A jump over the 8. Whoa. Just missed contact on it. I believe she called the left side pocket as a bit of insurance, but you need to make contact with it first. And as you can see from Xinyu's reaction, that 4 doesn't pass the 9, so she's now forced to take a longer 4, and she'll look to just pop the cue ball over towards or high of the 7 ball. This is the key shot for her here. She knows this. She needs to be precise. Oh, and she didn't stay high of the 7. She came low of it and has put the cue ball in prime position here for the 5. Again, that 7 ball just threatening somewhat. Shouldn't be a problem at all. And it wasn't. And now Xinyu finds herself in prime position to take this opening set in real quick fashion, and really down to her offense and pouncing on Katarzyna's mistakes. Well, I thought she was going to try and draw the cue ball around the rails for the 9. Elected to play it A nice delicate shot to come centre table. Maybe a little bit thinner than she'd like. On this occasion, with having to put a little bit more on it, successful with the pot. Cue ball's just bounced off the long rail enough to make this a bit more comfortable a shot for the 10. And this 10, well, takes the opening set 4-0 and really is looking in dominating form, and Katarzyna's just not been able to get out of her chair, and when she has, there's been a couple of mistakes, and Xin Yu has just put her back in her chair and kept her there. So that will give her a 1-0 lead in this best of 3 sets. And again, if you want to keep updated with the scores, please do visit ProBilliardSeries.com. There will also be links in the Pro Billiard TV room. And also, if you're enjoying the feed, please do like, share and subscribe. And we'll just leave you with the stats while the players take a quick break. We'll be back with you very shortly for second set action. Don't go anywhere. And a warm welcome back, viewers, to this Belarus Carrinho Women's Open opening round match between Xin Yu Hong and Katarzyna Veselovska. And we've just come back from looking at our Table 1 action. That's the match between Yvonne Ulmer-Hubler. She's trailing 3-1 to the young Linnea Halmarstrom. But bringing it back here, Xin Yu Hong has, in quite emphatic fashion, taken the opening set. And the stats, she's sitting pretty at an 8-2-1 player overall performance. She didn't leave a chair for the break. Katarzyna returns after taking the break. And this is our first look at her break. And what a break she's made. Complete contrast to Xin Yu, who, even though the score not reflecting it, was just not getting any fortune from her break. But on Katarzyna's first opportunity, she's made 3 and left herself a 1-2 combination. And very little concerns for the closing pattern, so this will really give her a boost of confidence if she can close this opening rack out. Katarzyna, a very accurate player, very dominant on the circuit in regards to pot success. And I think that helps her in her hayball career as well. She does very well in that discipline. She's just a little bit shorter of position than she wanted with the cue ball, but as not having so much time on the table, she maybe just needs to find the feel a little bit more, get the groove. And a little tap on the table. She knew she was running into the 8 there, and I mean, when you're contacting balls, strange things can happen. On this occasion, it's fallen right in Katarzyna's lap. And these 3 now, just to put any uncertainty to bed. And after a fantastic break, Katarzyna Veselowska has tidied this pattern away very nicely. Maybe with a little bit of a fortunate rub on the 8 and a pump of the fist. She's off the mark. It took till the second set to do it, but she's done it straight from the get-go and takes a 1-0 lead, and she'll get the chance to put another of them breaks into motion. And we'll have a quick look around at the other tables. We have a couple of first set results coming in. Ina Kaplan has taken the opening set against Cindy Keller, and Sandra Baumgartner has taken the opening set against Yalin Schrumann. Over on table 12, Nakyun Song and Natalie Romer, well, that's locked at 3 apiece. Hill in their opening set. Keep an eye on some more live scores as they're coming in. But let us have a look at Katarzyna's second break here. Made 3 in her last break. And this could really make a difference if she's got her break working. The 1 was tracking. It didn't drop, it got knocked out of the way, but the 8 has dropped in the top right corner. A couple of clusters have developed off the break though, which will probably lend itself to Katarzyna not considering the run out here. We may, and I'd have to say for the first time in this match, see a little tussle in the safety department. With there being clusters, it does make for good spots to aim the cue ball for, to put their opponent in trouble. Well, that was containing, and I'm afraid from the neutral chair that I sit in, that will not be good enough. This is now a good opportunity for Xin Yu to lock Katarzyna into trouble. She could glance off the 1 here and just use the 3-10 cluster and not have to move the cue ball too much. She may feel that getting more distance between the 2 will be better. And she's done that. Needs to avoid the 2, needs to avoid the corner pocket and has. And that's a good shot. It leaves Katarzyna with a difficult jump over the 6-9. Which she's taking on. She's called it straight away, straight out of her chair. Fraught with danger. What a jump shot. Not only making the 1 in fantastic fashion, she's just developed the cluster of the 3 and 10 as a bonus. However, position on the 10, position on the 2, not that nice. But what a jump shot to stay at the table. Full credit to Katarzyna there. And she's responded with a good safe, and you just feel that that confidence is brewing in Veselovska. A little run with that rub on the 8 in the last rack and keeping Xinyu in her chair resulted in a fist pump, and you just feel the confidence levels are brewing for her. Xinyu's confidence already flying. This is a tough escape. Ooh. She was trying to bend that cue ball to the left, and with the spin still on the cue ball, bump off the long rail down towards the 2. It just didn't grab and catch enough. And Katarzyna's having a close inspection of the 7-5 cluster, also the 6-9 cluster. So this is no certainty for her here with regards to the run out. It does have options. Again, that 6-9 is a nice spot to try and get the cue ball behind. It didn't work for Xinyu. Katarzyna made a fantastic jump over it to take the 1 ball, but Katarzyna looked to do a little bit with that 5-7 cluster. Did get some movement of the balls, but they've just pushed onto the long rail. How's the line of the cue ball? Is it going to stop? It is. Any more rolls out of that cue ball, we would have had a scratch. Now, I do love the overhead view, but it's not telling me if there's an edge available for Xinyu. Looks like there is. She's got the playing cue in her hand. She may have more than an edge. Yeah, containing safety, good distance between the balls. However, that 4 has just popped off that rail quite a distance. Can she use that 6-9 as a target? She could just slide off the edge of this 4, bring the 4 over to the left side of the table. She's gone the other way, played it into the 10 and using the cue ball behind the 6-9. That may have worked out. Xinyu's come out of her chair with the jump stick straight away, so clearly full ball cover. Doesn't need to jump over the 6, just the edge. So that makes the jump, well, a little less fraught with danger, but still needs to get over and make contact on the 4, which she has done. The cue ball catching the side pocket jaw, and that has left Katarzyna here with a good look on the 4. Some momentum just starting to move a little bit with good safety play. 5-7 still causing a problem as Katarzyna played for the bank shot. This will get to tell us how the confidence brewing, and she has called the side rail. Cue ball's going to be, well, cue ball, I think she would like to take a good chunk of the 7 here. Oh, will it come back off the second rail? Nope. But it has gone into an awkward spot. That is not Well, I'm not going to say it's not cuttable into the side pocket, but it's a very thin one if she wants to take it on. She's called the cross bank. If she does, the cue ball should come around 3 rails, centre table for the 6, but if that 5 isn't made, that will very likely leave Katarzyna in with a shot, so very nice cross bank. Caught the 3rd rail, and it's just held up enough to take this 6 on into the bottom right corner. Xinyu dancing a little bit, maybe just conscious of the shot clock, but neither player really seems to have been fazed by it so far. And she rattled a ball into this bottom right corner when using the extension earlier in this match. Not a problem this time. Took contact on the 7, favourable contact on the 7. Played it with authority, ensuring the cue ball got a good bounce off the long rail. This is looking very nice for Xinyu now, and a good response to Katarzyna's effort. Could just see her brimming a little bit with confidence, and this will just snuff out the flame somewhat. One thing we've come to know of the Polish Katarzyna is that she is always in with a shout, and she does love a good fight. Very determined lady. Ooh. He's overcut that by quite a margin. It's not left a simple closing 10 for Katarzyna here, but it's a shot on the 10, and it's a shot to stay with the break and keep the scoreline in her favour. Oh, with the shot clock breathing down her neck, Katarzyna Veselowska's taken the 2nd rack in the 2nd set. And she keeps her lead. It's 2-0 now, and keeps the break. First break was an absolute dazzler. Second one, not so. As Michael Salmon, our stat man, just brings up, balls pocketed. Well, in the opening set, Xinyu was 32 pockets to 8. A little bit of a different story so far in the 2nd set, and that has been reflected with Katarzyna's confidence. There was a good chance for Xinyu in that 2nd rack to pinch it away. However, she gave the opportunity back to Katarzyna on the 10, and she didn't need asking twice. 2-0 in the 2nd set. Katarzyna trailing 1-0, best of 3. She'll be looking for a break similar to her opener in this 2nd set. And if she can start making balls, this match could get very interesting. Didn't look as clean a strike as the previous 2. The 1 ball was tracking in the direction of the side pocket, but quickly got bumped out the way. Xinyu might not even have a look at this 1 though. And I think from where she's postured now, she's looking at where she can play a push shot to and not give too much for Katarzyna to bite. looking to get that cue ball close to the short rail. Good distance between the balls. There is a very delicate save to be played, but with that much distance between the two, I would probably advise against that. She may be able to play the 1 into the 3 and come around the 6 with the cue ball. She went for the delicate shot. Always difficult. Hasn't sold out though, but does give Hong a look at finding a good spot for the cue ball here. She could just run off the right hand side as you're looking at it and travel the cue ball down. She may decide to bring the 1 ball down here. She has. She's brought the 1 ball down. Didn't get the cue ball behind the 6, but looks like she's got cover with the 10. And where that cue ball has dressed up against the 6, very reminiscent of Katarzyna's first shot in this match. She's got difficult cueing. And on this occasion, she's got to bring a rail or 2 into play. Well, good contact. Thin leave on the 1 for Xinyu. And as you can see, the blue 2 just off to the left of the 1 ball. That cue ball's going to be travelling. She may need to come across the table and back again. She elected against taking the cut on, felt position was not there. Wasn't far away from getting that cue ball behind the 5, which would have made this a very tricky shot for Katarzyna. As of now, it's a little less trickier, but it's no means easy. We'll be looking to get a good save from this. It's not a bad result. This does give options for Xinyu with locking that cue ball up against an object ball, but again, good exchange of play between the two. We've not really seen too much of this in this match so far. She may, if she doesn't feel that there's any options to move the cue ball to, she could freeze the cue ball off this 1 and bank the 1 around the 10. Maybe bring the 10 into play, but she is stretching, so needs to be precise. That's not going to work. I think she needed to avoid the 7 with the 1 ball. Big shot to take on. Nothing guaranteed on getting position for the 2. But if there isn't a safety option that's jumping out at her, she may feel this is the time to go on the offense. An offense it is. How's the leave for the 2? It was always going to be tricky to get anything on this 2 ball. And as you can see, the 3 nestled up by the cue ball there. She's going to need to bring the cue ball all the way back up as well if she did leave an angle on this. Ooh, I'm not sure she called the crossbank, but she wasn't far away with it. She played it on the thinner side, so the cue ball has come back across the table and didn't go over far enough towards the corner pocket to really entice Xinyu into taking this on. So good to see an exchange of safety play between the two. Ooh, a delicate attempt from Hong, looking to bring that cue ball behind the 10. It hasn't worked out, and that 2 looks like it's dressed up for the 2-8 combination. What's Katarzyna thinking about the 3? The 5-6 look to be trouble. Makes the combination. Looks like the 2 has stayed far enough away from the 7 to be available for the bottom left corner. Now, if that 5 does not pass the 6, Katarzyna's still going to be presented with a problem if she were to get to it. So maybe she didn't fancy that and looked to back it up with a locking safety shot for Xin Yu to contend with, but has just lost the cue ball. And stretching over the 4, just needs to be careful here. High level of difficulty, reaching, bridged over the 4, needing to put a lot of power on it to get back for the 3, which she has done. But as we've seen on a couple of occasions in this match, when players just give it a bit more oomph, these tight pockets on these Predator arc tables can be very unforgiving. So Katarzyna back to the table. Did look difficult to get from the 2 to the 3. And that looks to have pushed her into playing a safety shot, but this is not safe, and there's 2 occasions now where Katarzyna's had a good chance to put Xin Yu in trouble, and she hasn't done. And on this occasion, she may have left her in with a chance of getting from the 2 to 3. Now we've seen both ladies have a good look at this position down in the top right corner, or the top left as we look at the overhead. 3 hasn't got an available pocket. So Xin Yu's played it very delicately up towards the 5. And has asked the question of Katarzyna. Katarzyna could play a similar shot here, maybe even rail first and just glance off the 3 and bring the cue ball all the way back down the table. And she's just looked to tuck it up a little bit more. Be interesting to see what she's left with. Oh, all three are locked up there. Called the referee over just to have a look at this. Xin Yu's called the 3 in the top right, but top left as you look from the overhead. Makes it very well. Has shape on this 4. As we've seen earlier, these side pockets are tight, but making this 4 should really open up this 3rd rack for the Chinese Taipei player, and she has. I have to say, an opportunity missed by Katarzyna there. Her safety play just letting her down at the wrong time. Ooh, Wanted that cue ball to travel a little bit further. Just left this a bit thinner than she'd like. Needs to be very cautious in getting position on the 9. Ooh, was just looking to get the cue ball between the 9 and the 10. Wasn't able to. Thick contact on the 9. Just wondering if she thought she's left herself the bank. Would be a brave shot to take on if she does. No, looks like containing safety. Only the 10 on the table to get in the way. This is going to need precision. Ooh, I think that's a little bit short with the cue ball. Maybe an edge for Katarzyna to see, but no real obvious safe to play if she can only see an edge. If she can see more, she'd ideally like to get the 9 ball right at the top of the table and bring the cue ball back down. Call top right. Ambitious. Hasn't paid off. Avoided the scratch with the cue ball. And Xinyu faced with, again, just the 10 ball to look for cover. Maybe a little bounce. Oh, the cue ball just lost the spin before it contacted the rail. It could have just kicked a little bit further left and made the shot a bit more difficult for Katarzyna. I would dare say she can see the potting angle here. And if she can, I would suggest she's going to take this on. Big moment for her here. This could be the difference between letting Xinyu back into the second rack or getting herself on the hill. She hasn't. The cue ball took a very naughty contact off the 10. Looked like it was going to scratch, it hasn't, and Katarzyna with a very sportsmanlike tap on the table. Just acknowledging she rode the luck a little bit there, but yeah, no chance for Xinyu there to bring the 10 into play. Containing safety, locked that 9 on the top rail, may even be touching. We did see Katarzyna take on a bank shot earlier in this match to the bottom left corner. Didn't hear a call this time, so looking to bring the cue ball around towards the 10 would be the order of the day here. Needs to run if it wants to come off the rail behind the 10. It's not going to. This 9 up the long rail to top right pocket. It's in. How's the cue ball? Not very nice. She's taking on the cut. This to get a point on the board in this second set. And just start to bring momentum back to herself. Needed to be thinner. Needed to be thinner. And she may have got away with that somewhat. The 10 is quite high off that short rail. The cut may be on. Katarzyna will have a better look at it than I can. She didn't fancy it. It did look very thin, if at all possible. Now, there's a couple of millimeters gap from the 10 and the rail, and that's allowed Xin Yu to call the bank shot here. She did. She went for it, full-blooded, and on this occasion, that's just not worked out for her. And this, to take a 3-0 lead and put herself on the hill in this second set, keen to get us through to a third and decider. Katarzyna Veselowska. Ooh. Threatened to scratch off that shot, which would have been a real turnaround. However, makes the 10. Scoreline 3-0 in favour of Katarzyna, and, well, she's got away with that a little bit. I think her safety play in that rack really let her down, and was fortunate to come through. But that will not bother her one bit. It's a point on the board. She's one away from taking the second set. And matches are already starting to come to a close in this opening round. Ina Kaplan, in quick fashion, has taken out Cindy Keller. She's won 2-0 there. On our other tables, we've got Silvia Lopez Fibler from Spain. She's winning 1-0 against Christina Grimm. On other tables, on our table 1, well, Yvonne Olma-Hübler is now 2-2 in the second set, trailing 1-0 with Linnea Halmarstrom. And over on our other stream table, table 3, Nina Torvund is locked at 1 apiece in the second set against Yuki Hiraguchi, but she's leading 1-0. Katarzyna Veselowska to break, leading 3-0 in this second set, a must-win second set for the Polish lady. And when it works, it really does for her. Her opening break in this second set. And let us not forget, she didn't get to the table to break in the opening set. Her opening break in the second set was fantastic. Making balls left a very easy pattern for her to out. And this one is very reminiscent of that. Balls are nicely spread. Maybe a little consideration to be made on position for the 6 because of where the 9 is to go 6-7. First, it'll be about bringing the cue ball centre table. Not a bad position where a cue ball is now for the 6, but needs to take the 5 first. Needs it to run. Oh, it has done. Has it run enough? I'm looking at Katarzyna's face. She's not really giving much away. Straight might not do. If she is in doubt, she could follow through and just push the cue ball on. Yeah, she has done. And that's worked out quite nice. Doesn't need to do too much with the cue ball here. Would ideally like to keep it off the rail after the shot on the 7. She's played that really well. Don't underestimate how difficult them shots are travelling past the side. Played it confidently. A little gap for the cue ball off the rail. But as you can see from this camera angle, she doesn't need to do too much with the cue ball. Just bring it off the short rail and pop it up around the 10. That 9 looks very nice for the side pocket. Doesn't want to come too far. Would have ideally liked to have been halfway between that and the short rail. However, now a thin cut into the side pocket should be natural to run around for the 10 into the bottom left corner, but needs to make sure of this pot. Needed to make sure. Yeah, and that's really born from poor position for that 9. And can Xin Yu just ask a few questions from this second set? The scoreline would suggest she's really up against it. But she puts that 10 ball away. Puts her first point on the board in the second set. The scoreline now 3-1 to Katarzyna. Xin Yu will come back to the table with the break. However, as we've seen in the opening set, her breaks are just not working for her yet. I would imagine that will change as the tournament leads through. And just to give you some forewarning of what's coming up later today, plenty of pool for you all on day 2. Following on from this opening round in the Women's Open, we move over to the Billard Beckmann Men's Open. And the next round in that event will kick off at 1 p.m. and continue again at 3 p.m. And then please do set your alarms for this at 6 p.m. today. We will kick off our Predator Mixed Doubles Open. 32 teams, and, well, if you do visit the Pro Billiard Series website, go and have a look at the team for yourself. There are some crackers out there. I expect there to be fireworks aplenty this evening. Now, Xin Yu begging for a ball off the break and makes the 1. And what a time to make a ball off the break. Good spread. 8 maybe slightly hampered by the 10. Other than that, no real big concerns for the Chinese Taipei player here. Yeah, just a little funny angle on this 3, if she wanted to hold for the 4 into the side pocket. Yeah, just a delicate stun. She does have a great routine, Xin Yu. Likes to survey the table and just get a quick look at her options before she takes the best one. How's she finished on the 5? I think she's got enough angle. Force follow. Yeah, and as we've seen on a few occasions from both players, when putting a bit more venom in it, these Predator arc tables ask a few questions of your accuracy. On this occasion, unsuccessful, but I understood why she did that. She needed to bring the cue ball round to this position as the 6 was not available to the bottom left. Now, Veselowska doesn't need to do too much off this 5 ball to be able to hold for the 6. 6 is available top left as well if she comes across the table too much. She's come back out again. Centre table, very nice. I'm wondering what angle she's left with. Will she need to bring it in and out off the bottom of the table? Or can she just keep the cue ball centre table? She's got the right angle to come back across the table. As I mentioned at the opening of this rack, that 8 does not go to the bottom left, it appears. Needs the cue ball to run a bit more. It's a little bit shorter than she'd hoped. Maybe just caught that 7 a bit thicker than intended. Yeah, didn't feel that the offense was the best play there. She's kept pretty decent cue ball and 8, but there's no cover. I haven't heard a call from Xinyu. Well, she's called the extension, but not a pocket. Yeah, looking for containing, but that is not very contained. So although Katarzyna didn't put Xinyu in trouble covering her shot, she has been rewarded from that save. And these 2 balls after that 8 will give Katarzyna this second set and will take us to a 3rd set decider. Will we see another fist pump reminiscent of her opening rack? No, we won't, but there will be a big breath of relief from her there. She keeps herself in this match and takes us to a deciding set. As we bring the statistics up to give you a bit more of a reflection of the way play has made its way to this point. And as you can see, the first set, Katarzyna really didn't have a look in, but she's turned it around for the second set, pulling in a POP of 806, with her average now being 712. So picking up the statistics a little bit better for her. And it looks like they will take a short comfort break before we return for this deciding set. And I will suggest that we all just go and refresh our glasses. And we'll be back with you very shortly for this 3rd set decider in the Carrinho Billiard Open. And a warm welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this Billiards Carrinho Women's Open opening match. And, well, this is proving to be rather exciting. I thought it might be. Jinhyu Hong against Katarzyna Veselowska. The scoreline locked at 1 set apiece. Xinyu to break off and get this third and deciding set underway. And for our eagle-eyed viewers during the break, currently Xinyu only on 20% break success. She didn't have any in the first opening set, but was able to dominate on the table to take that quite comfortably 4-0. Katarzyna not even getting to break in the opening set. However, she did get the opportunity in the second set, 75% break success. That really has proven her well. I will say, in summary, Katarzyna just needs to improve her safety play, her feel. That may have just prevented her from getting her teeth or claws into the opening set. And after the break, she's just had a lapse of concentration on that one ball. We've not been seeing any careless mistakes from these two until now. It's probably the first one. So Xinyu off to the races in this opening set. Deciding set. Does have a shot on this too. Can she avoid the 5 and get shape on the 3? She couldn't avoid the 5, but she did get shape on the 3. You may have noticed during the break as well, our table 1 TV table, the girls were packing up their cues. Well, Linnea Halmarstrom has taken that one very comfortably against the veteran Yvonne Ullmann-Hübler, 2-0. Ooh, that was a mistake, but it's worked out very well. She was looking to pot that cleanly. Missed it by a margin, but it made a little clip off the 6 and went in anyway. And quite rightly, Xinyu just raised her hand to Katarzyna there. Both players having 1 or 2 runs of the balls today in this match. Oh, she played that very well. Had to play that with some finesse. From the break, both girls would have been looking to come out strong. So far, it looks like Xinyu is going to get the first opportunity to take this opening rack. A little look up to the heavens there. Did not want to run into the 10. Calls the bank. Wasn't far away, but that 7 ball is still running, and it's running up towards the top left corner now. These are the opportunities Katarzyna needs, or rather would want to be jumping on. She's avoided the 8. And avoided it well. Cue ball coming back up table. Just finished high on the 9, so she's going to need to move the cue ball a little bit further than if she was low on it. To come back up for the 9 ball here. Oh, doesn't want it running towards that centre pocket. Stop short. Just needs to be particular with the 9 here. The 10 should always be available. And it looks like with this 10, Katarzyna Veselowska will take the lead in this third set, putting the first point on the board. A quick look away. Potentially a commentator's curse there as well. And that's a steal for Xin Yu. Katarzyna will be disappointed with that. Her confidence was brimming after the second set. Good opportunity there to just get first on the board in the third, and it hasn't worked out like that. And that will bring Xin Yu to the table to break. I mentioned a couple of results were coming in. Well, Nakyung Song, South Korea, has taken a 2-0 win over the young French lady Nathalie Roma. I mentioned the result between Linnea Halmerstrom, 2-0 win over Yvonne Ullmann-Hubler, and Ina Kaplan has taken a 2-0 win over Cindy Keller, progressing through to the next round. Double elimination. Losers will get a bit of a longer journey to the final stages if they're to make it. So all not over for those who have lost their opening match. No. Xin Yu, who started just to get a bit of break success in the second set, has returned back to a dry break here. Not really left anything attacking on for Katarzyna, but good opportunities for safety. As I mentioned in the second set, there was a couple of safety shots that just let Veselowska down. It didn't have an impact on the scoreline, thankfully. But she will want to improve on that, and that doesn't look like being an improvement. And that's left Xin Yu in with an easy opener on the 1. The 2 is dressed very nicely over the top right, and so far so good looking at the other balls on the table. Now, the 7 may not go to the bottom left due to the 8, and that's really the main consideration. The 4 is also a little tricky, but the way that Xin Yu's played that shot, she's come on the perfect angle to go high on the 4 to play it down to the bottom right pocket, so this is opening up very nicely. She's just gone to have a look at that 7-10. As we saw in the opening set, though, the Chinese Taipei player does not really need asking twice in and amongst the balls. She made some wonderful clearances in that opening set to take it in quite comfortable fashion, 4-0. And I have to say, she's just Looks like she's feeling the flow again, and that can only be alarm signs for Katarzyna. And the more pressure that Xinyu can put on the Polish player, it would be very interesting to see how much that missed 10 ball could come back to haunt her. Yeah, she recognised the 7 didn't pass. Purposefully landed that side of the 6 to come across here for the 7. Left herself an angle. Should come long rail for the 8 here. Could do with a bounce. Got a bounce. Should be natural to float up above the 9 here. Does not want to run into it. And well, she's not the tallest of ladies, which can just make reaching shots a little bit more challenging for her. She does have the power. This will be deep draw. Yeah, and a bit stabby. A bit stabby indeed. Didn't get hardly anything off that cue ball. So now just sacrificing a bit more distance for this cut on the 10, and needs to make sure of this. Oh, as the shot clock threatened with a beep in her ear, she's made that 10 ball, extends her lead to 2-0. And Katarzyna may be reflecting on that missed 10 ball. Hopefully that doesn't sway her confidence, because she really was putting in the performance of the second set. Bring you a couple of updates on our other tables. Yalin Schreumann is tied at 1 set apiece with Sandra Baumgartner, and it looks like Jolin's just taken the opening rack in that second set, the young Dutch player. And over on our other stream table, table 3, Nina Torvund is locked at 1 set apiece with Yuki Hiraguchi. They move into their deciding set. And we have the Italian Sara Iannini is trailing 1-0 against Venus Lim. And they are 1 apiece in their second set. Xinyu to break, leading 2-0 in this deciding set. Makes the 1. Ooh. The 3 threatened to get in the way with her shape on the 2, but it hasn't. So early promising signs for the offense here. As you can see, Xinyu's having a little survey of that 6 ball. Not much is going to happen with that 6 where it is right now. So just a few things to consider further through this pattern, but first it's navigating the 2, 3, 4, 5. And for those of you wondering what's coming up today, we do have, following this at 1 PM, the Billard Beckmann Men's Open continues. Also at 3 PM. And then at 6 PM this evening, it's the Predator Mixed Doubles Open kicking off. And I would certainly suggest, if you haven't already, setting your notifications and alarm for that. And another reminder of this Billiards Carrinho Women's Open. What a prize pot we have. 64 players, the best in the women's division, in my view. $90,000 total prize pot. The winner picking up $27,000 for first prize. Second place, $15,750. And third and fourth picking up $7,875. So there's big prize booty out there for these ladies. I'm sure quite a few of them will be performing in the Predator mixed doubles as well. So good opportunity for paydays here for these ladies. Now, what is she thinking with the 5 and 6? Ooh. Is she playing the carom off the 6 onto the 8? It looked purposeful, that positional shot. The 7 didn't get in the way. This could be a big shot at 2-0. Nothing guaranteed on the 6 if she makes it. That 9 ball is looking threatening, but first and foremost, making the 8 in the top right to stay at the table and to be in with a chance of getting to the hill in quick fashion in this third deciding set. She made that clean as a whistle. More importantly, she's left herself in prime position on this 6 as well. This is looking very good to get on the hill here. Successfully made that, and good angle on this 7 just to draw and pop the cue ball back a little bit for the 9. Wants to be careful with where she leaves the cue ball so that she's not reaching too much. This 10, after good position with the cue ball off the 9, and she does. Xinyu Hong gets to the hill in quick fashion in this third deciding set, very similar to how it went in the opening set, and not really give Katarzyna much to get at since she missed that 10 ball. As we bring the statistics up for this, it's been very interesting how this match has played out. It was pretty much all Xinyu for the opening set. Seems to be this way so far in the third. And Katarzyna really did start to build the confidence and her momentum in that second set, and just hasn't been allowed to get out in similar fashion in this third decider. As I mentioned, 9 matches underway in this opening round in the Women's Open. We will kick off at 1 o'clock with the losers first round in the men's Open. Lots of action for you today now. Xinyu breaking potentially for the match, and again not making a ball off the break, so her success rate is going to be quite low for this match. Katarzyna looking to lock her up. That 1 ball needs to travel, really, because she didn't lock that 1 against the 10. That meant the 1 ball needed to come up halfway. And this is a good look at the point angle on this 1 ball. Fantastic pot. The cue ball has not behaved though. It's finished in a very awkward spot against the 4, but we're all starting to get a very good glimpse at why this young lady, a very accomplished young lady, has got her World Junior medals under her belt. Now, using the Predator extension to get that cue as bridged high as possible. She sort of rubbed the cue over the cue ball. Wasn't a double hit, but she didn't get the intended contact. Did make a legal shot. Katarzyna to the table. Call in the bank. I like that. She can play this as a bit of a two-way, meaning that if that 2 does hold in the corner pocket, she could leave it safe, should leave it safe. Maybe that indicates she was just calling it as insurance. Hasn't got cover. Just wondering, was she looking to play a containing safety, pushing 2 onto the long rail and cue ball, because the 7 could help if she was going that route. She's not. She needed the 10 to come into play. And as you can see from the overhead, if she hasn't got cover, there is a 1 rail escape available for Katarzyna here. And as the scoreline will be reminding her, she needs to start making moves now with her opponent on the hill. And one thing I haven't mentioned, if the scoreline in the deciding set does go 3-3, we will be in for a shootout. We've got to have a few of them at previous events. Very exciting, daunting for the players. Great for the viewers. Now that's not necessarily what Hong had in her mind there. She was looking to avoid the 3 with the cue ball. Katarzyna back to the table. Not out of this yet. What can she see? And then, I don't mean to keep bringing it up, but it is important in the way that this match has played out. Katarzyna has had some great opportunities to really lock her opponent in, and in previous events, she really is accomplished at it, but just not finding it so far yet in this opening match for her. On a different day, Xinyu could have been in trouble a lot more. In retrospect, she's now put Katarzyna in trouble. She's going up and down the table. Can't come off the short rail at the bottom of the table. Looks like the 6 is hampering that. Great hit, great contact, and a great result. Left a little bit to Lady Luck there, but this now could really turn this 4th rack in the deciding set. Xinyu left with a difficult escape. There is still a lot of traffic on the table, so there's always a good opportunity to get safe, as Katarzyna's done here. Top left pocket, call for insurance. Right at the end of the shot clock. Doesn't matter. she didn't make contact, and that will be ball in hand for Katarzyna, and a very useful ball in hand at a critical point in this match. Yeah, played that very nicely, bringing the cue ball right across. Doesn't want the 7 to hamper her cueing, though. Needed to do this to take the 10 ball out of play. Just needs to focus on the pot here. Cue ball should just float down nicely for the 4 into the left side pocket. Stun run, even better. Played very well. This is the opportunity that you feel she needs to take and just get herself back at the table with the next break. And as we've seen from her break success, there's every opportunity for her to start bringing this scoreline back to evens. She's straight on this 5. If she is, she may have to draw back off the long rail. Like that, but doesn't want to come behind the 9. Ooh, she just got a bit more oomph on that than she intended. Now forced to jump over the edge of the 9, and bit of self-induced stress for her here. Good opportunity to make the 6 regardless, but would have ideally not liked to have been doing it with the jump stick. Well, it wasn't heading towards the pocket, but nearly ended up going in off the 8 ball. As a result, the 6 is not dressed up in an attacking position for Xinyu. However, if she did want to go on the attack, there is a bank. No, it looks like she's just going to try and slide off of it. Looking at that 7 and 8 up at the top right to bring the cue ball behind. How's the line? She took a chunk of the 8, and that's not going to help her, I'm afraid. Now, another opportunity for Katarzyna here. It's quite straight on this 6. And where the 10 is, if she decided she wanted to try and force the cue ball out off that rail, that 10 could become a threat. So might just have to stun or just draw a little. Yeah, she's played that well. That was a tricky position she was in there. Now finds herself in great position. Oh, she's just caught that again with a bit of zing. Maybe a little built-up frustration from that missed 10 earlier. Just surveying where she wants shape for this 9. Nicely done. Elected not to do too much with the cue ball, just off straight on this 9. Needs to make sure of this. Will always be left with something on the 10. And this crucial point to get on the board for the Polish lady here. needs to be a comeback, and it needs to be a comeback of magnificent proportions, and that's how you start it. Scoreline now 3-1, Katarzyna trails. If she does bring it back to 3-3, we'll be going to a shootout. Just to warn you, ladies and gentlemen, Xinyu will be hoping that she can close it out before then, but Katarzyna Veselowska will get back to break, and certainly is having the better of the breaks in this match. Just having a look around the arena with our other 9 matches underway. Yalin Schumann now 2-1 up in their deciding set against Sandra Baumgartner. Yuki Hiraguchi has just taken the lead in the deciding set between her and Nina Torvund. That's one apiece in sets. And Venus Lim is now 2-1 up in the second set against Sara Iannini. And Venus is leading 1-0 in racks. I'll bring you the remainder of the results as they're coming in. But this, the biggest break I would have to say so far in this match for Veselowska. The one went clean. I have to say, when her break is working, she's having some of the better results, even compared to yesterday's opening day in the men's event. Quite a few players were struggling with just getting to grips with their timing on the break. But I'm sure, as the statistics will reveal, Veselowska getting a much better time of it when she has had the opportunity to get to the table to break. So another good opportunity she's presented with here. If she can keep Xinyu in her chair and keep chipping away at this scoreline, good things will come to her. She's got a long 4. Got a nice angle that she can push the cue ball off the long rail and out across the table, but the 7 is a threat. Shot clock ticking. And with 2 seconds remaining, she's made the shot but compromised the cue ball and scratched. And you can't help but think, with that shot clock breathing down your neck and beeping, it just adds that extra element of pressure. Didn't have the extension to call. Ball in hand, Xinyu. She'll know this is an opportunity to take the match at this visit. She really does not want Veselowska to build any more on her confidence. Ooh, she looked a little bit hesitant with her stroke there. It didn't look as flowing as we have come to expect from her. And was that an early sign of the finish line jitters? Well, got away with it somewhat. There's no edge for Katarzyna to pick off here. She's going over the 9. Made the pot. Now where's the cue ball going to end up? Good jump shot. And not a bad position. Always difficult to make expectations of the cue ball from a jump shot. But this will certainly work. Ooh, Katarzyna needed to make sure of that 7. And wow, 2 big flips in this 5th rack in the deciding set. Xinyu just looked like she was having a jitter there. And that is exactly the sign that Veselowska wanted to see. But she wasn't able to convert that opportunity, and now leaves this young Chinese Taipei player in with 3 balls on the table. And that's between her and the victory. Oh, she's punched that in with authority, bringing the cue ball back down the table, and all signs looking very good here. Shin Yu Hong of Chinese Taipei has taken the 3rd and deciding set 4-1. But let's not take anything away from Katarzyna Veselowska. She fought back valiantly after the first set, and she put herself in a good position, but just wasn't able to convert it in the 3rd. And Shin Yu will progress through in the winner's side. Katarzyna Veselowska will move over to the loser's bracket and still have a chance to get through. We'll have the stats up there for you to have a look at. If you want to continue looking at the scores and fixtures as they're coming in, please do visit ProBilliardSeries.com. You'll also find links on the Pro Billiard TV website. And please do like, share and subscribe if you're enjoying this. Coming up on day 2, we return at 1 p.m. an hour from now with the Billard Beckmann Men's Open continuing. And that will also continue at 3 p.m. and then at 6 p.m. tonight the Predator Mixed Doubles Open kicks off. So please do set your notifications. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you joining me. Big congratulations to Shin Yu Hong. My name's Gethin Davis, and look forward to having you back later today. Thank you very much.